Good morning, Vietnam. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of It's Only Monday podcast. This is the podcast to put a little pep in your step. This is the podcast to make a Monday feel like a Friday. This is the podcast to get your Mondays going. I'm your boy JT, and welcome back. Today we have a good conversation. I hope you did the homework from last week. But this week, it's Monday morning, we're up and about, we're getting ready to go, it's a new year already, so we're kind of like excited. You've probably been doing your, trying to hit your goals and staying consistent. Make sure you stay on that. I'm going to hit you up in June, making sure you're still doing that, July, August, September, all the way to the end of the year. But, it's probably easy right now because it's really early and we're still doing those things. And with all that being said, of us trying to hit these goals and us trying to, do new things or continue doing the old things we were doing and make sure we reach certain levels and standards and all that jazz, I wanted to talk about something today that I've always thought about, and it was something that really helps me stay consistent in certain things that I've done in my life, right? Because, for example, things that I do, whether it's in film, video, and stuff like that, prior to having any level of success, there's a starting stages of anything, right? And it could be anything you're doing in life. Right now, you could be trying to become the best investor. You could be trying to become the best anything, whatever you're working on in life. And I kind of want to speak more to, I guess, professionalism and not professionalism, but career, just tangible things that you do for work. 'Cause I think it's an easy way to talk about it. So that's where we're kind of talking about today. But what I want to talk about is indicators. Indicators. And what do I mean by indicators? Well, like I was saying earlier, all of us are trying to hit our goals and reach different levels of things all our lives right now. And especially right now because it's January, everyone's really in that mode. New year, new me, we all hear it, right? All right, cool. But in order to hit those goals, you might be starting something really, really new right now, something totally brand new, right? And if I'm talking to you, I want you to perk up and listen, You might be trying something brand new today this year that you've never done before. You're getting your foot wet. You're starting to do this thing. And actually, even you could have been doing this for maybe a year or 2 years, right? And you might not be seeing the fruits of the labor, okay? Let's say that. You're not seeing the everything that you think you're supposed to be seeing for it in the sense of, I don't know, money or the success or just different things like that. But you're probably looking at the highest level of things, right? Oh man, if you're an investor or you're starting out your investing journey, you might be thinking, oh man, why am I not seeing $2 million returns? You know what I mean? Realistically, obviously, if you're in that world, that's not really going to happen, especially unless whatever. I'm not going to go deep into that. Hit up the finance channels to look at that kind of information. But you might be, depending on what it is, you might kind of have that mindset though. You might have the mindset of why am I not getting the $2 million return mindset on whatever it is you're doing, something else, right? Let me just use an example because it's the easiest thing. I'll use video and film and a creative's world, right? So let's say you're a graphic designer, right? And you might be saying, yo, I've been putting in so much work, but I'm not seeing, the clients, or I'm not seeing, the numbers to reflect it, or people are not hitting me up for work, that kind of stuff. And that's okay. Especially if you just started, right? Because that's why I want to speak on indicators. And what I mean by indicators, I think in everything, there's indicators to let you know you're on the right path or you're doing well, right? A lot of people, let me make some eye contact with y'all, Freak, what am I doing? It's rude to have my glasses on when I'm talking to you. Let me get it, Oh, again, today, the cup is half full. Remember that. Well, right now it's actually full, but every day should be half full for you. Okay, so what do I mean by indicators? By indicators, I mean exactly that, actually. You probably kind of figured it out. Okay, cool, turn it off. You already got it. No, but what I mean by indicators is as we're trying things, especially if it's new things and you don't know how well you're doing, right? You're not at the pinnacle of the success and you might not even be seeing an inch bit of success in whatever it is you're doing. So you might be like, oh man, like, is this the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing it right? You have to find the indicators that show you are on the right path. And that's easier said than done. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, like, throughout my life, I've always had indicators that I've known that, okay, what I'm doing is the right thing. And as long as I can see it, then, like, okay, it's real. And not in some way of like, I can see it, like it's only you and you're delusional and you're just thinking I can see this. No, it's practical. It's based in reality. It might not exist yet, but you know it's going there. You're looking at trends. You're looking at, you're forecasting, you know. I'll just put a perfect example for me back in the day. Like, again, when I started doing video wasn't as popular as it is now, right? And a lot of people, especially this is back in like 2008, 9, 10, those days, when I was really trying to push video, like it was either you're getting really high quality professional video from like people with like studios. You weren't really going to like, videographers and solo videographers really and truly. It was like either you're going to the big people or people just wanted like photography, right? Because video wasn't as big as it was now isn't as big as it video wasn't as big as it is now as it was back then, in the sense of like everybody just needing it. It was a very special amount of people that needed it. Now you can walk down the street and every single person is going to want to hit you up for it. So I had the forecasting mindset that like this is going to be needed, like where YouTube was going, where the internet was going and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is going to be needed substantially. And I knew that. Like I didn't think it wasn't going to be. But because of that, and because of knowing that and seeing that, I forecasted and had the indication with little things along the way that I knew I was on the right path. And as time progressed, things picked up. More and more people were inquiring and asking and interested. Then we got to a place where a lot of people wanted to get into it. So, those indicators like really let me know, even though I loved what I was doing and everything, aside from it being a business or a job or, working in that field, I still knew that this was the right path to a way of it was getting bigger. Let's say that, right? So this morning, this year you chose to probably attack something that maybe it's your first time doing it. Maybe you don't have that much, expertise on it. Maybe people around you might be saying to you, like, are you sure, you don't have the success rate of XYZ right now, this person or that, or they're like, oh, okay, like how far is it? How far has it gone so far, right? And you're just starting, or even if you've done it for a year or two, certain things take time, right? Like, again, trusting the process. And I was talking about last week and a couple weeks before about being in the gym. It's like, someone came up to you every 2 weeks and said, yo, where's your abs at? Or where's your muscles at? You're going to be like, yo, like trust the process. Give me time. It's going there. There's indicators. I'm starting to see, fat shedding. I'm starting to see muscles form. So that's the indication that things are going good. That's actually a perfect example. See, the gym always makes things come back full circle because the gym is the best way to explain and give analogies just to life. I don't know why, it just is. Because it really is something that shows you, takes time, trust the process, all those things. It all comes to pass when it comes to the gym. But, let's say you're trying to get the 6-pack abs, right? And, you're working out hard. Now, you might not be seeing the 6-pack, but you might be seeing, the biceps might be looking better, or your triceps or your legs and stuff, because you're working out your whole body. So there's indication that things are changing. And that's the same thing you got to look at when it comes to whatever you're trying in this world right now, whatever you're going for, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's a new industry you want to tackle, whether it's a new skill you want to learn, anything. As the time progresses, give yourself little indicators that show there's forward momentum, and there's, depending on what you want out of it, there's possibility for success on the level of success you're looking for. Again, today I wanted to talk more about skill building and career and work. So I don't want to make it just about like, oh, if it's a hobby, it's a hobby. It's, it's whatever. I'm trying to talk about more about something that you're trying to build that is going to be something that you can maybe live off of, or it will help supply financially to your lifestyle, or, it'll bring you things that you could. So with that being said, what are these indicators that you look for? That's where you have to know your industry and stuff like that, right? You got to kind of have to be that forecaster and know your end goal of what you really, really want. Again, reverse engineer this stuff and know what you want from the end goal going backwards, right? Because when you know that, you know how far you're going across. Because at the end of the day, back to the gym, if you want a six pack, you know what the six pack looks like. So for your goal or your skill or whatever you're building right now, what does the end goal look like? Ask yourself that. What does it look like? Okay, no, it's not no kind of. What does it actually look like, G? That's when you're like, okay, I know exactly what this is supposed to look like. And again, it could change as time progresses, but as long as you initially know what you're trying to build, whatever it is, then you have a clear picture of where you're going. Because again, if you don't know where you're going, then you're just getting in the car and driving. And that way, you're probably just going to end up getting lost. And then, once you're lost, you don't have a GPS or you don't have anything on your phone, and then you get lost, your battery dies, and you're screwed. And that can happen in real life. Right? You don't want to just be driving aimlessly trying to say, oh, maybe I might hit this and hit that. And it might look like this or it might look like that. No. You have to know exactly what you're looking for. So when it comes to that, with those indicators and knowing what it looks for, first thing is knowing what you're actually aiming for, what the thing you're actually aiming for looks like. Cool, got it. Now you're building these skills to get to that thing. All right. What along the way is a checkpoint? Treat it like a checkpoint. When you're driving to, let's say you want to drive to another state, city, whatever, you will know how far you are along the way, right? There's certain things that tell you, get off at this exit, make a left here, you're at this street. You kind of know you're coming closer and closer, right? And there's the steps to get there, right? Like the first thing is you got to leave your street. And once you left your street, you're on the main street. And when you go on the main street, you get into the highway. And now you're on the high. So there's those little checkpoints you kind of know you're on the way. And then we all know when we get closer to a place, we start recognizing things in the area. Or if not, you recognize the sign that you're looking for and say, okay, cool. That's what you got to kind of do with life, with your goals and what you're going for right now. So you got to first really study also what's happening in that world, whatever it is. Again, I'm leaving this very open because I don't want to put this on one thing. I know I start with the graphic designer, example, and then move to like myself with film and video. But I want to leave this open because I said the investor thing, but this can be open to anybody. Because this Monday morning, I don't know what it is you're working on. I want to leave this very, very just wide open so you can just pluck yourself inside there. Your situation, but you have to study your industry, your field in and out to know what the top of it looks like, what the bottom of it looks like, what the middle of it looks like. You should know all those things, right? Because so many times when it comes to things, we all look at the top of things. That's the funny thing, right? We all look at the top. Like, it's like, okay, I want to build an app. Great. Who do you look at? Oh, look at Mark Zuckerberg. Look at this guy, the girl that created Hinge, the guys that created Tinder. Like you're looking at all these apps, Instagram, and it's the top of the top. That's great. That's very easy to point out. Okay, now let's look at the bottom, like the bottom, meaning like the ones that are there that don't even get off the ground. Oh shoot, the failures. Then let's look at the middle, the people that are they're going there. They're there. You got things like Planoly and all those different type of apps that they're there. Again, the reason I mentioned that is because like Instagram supposedly is now offering like scheduling your posts. So things like Planoly and Hootsuite, I think, might be kind of like shaking in their boots, but I digress. It doesn't really matter. The whole point of it is, what I'm trying to say is like, you got to look at all levels of things. Don't just look at the top and don't just look at the bottom, or especially don't just look at the middle, because that can really skew your mindset and not even let you know what the field actually looks like. You have to know what the landscape looks like. If you're in the car and you're driving somewhere, you got to know how it looks like where you're going. You check the GPS or your maps on your phone. It tells you how the traffic's starting to look like. It tells you there's an accident. It tells you, oh, the street's closed. You got to kind of know what the landscape looks like on your way to that path. Again, it's going to change. We all know it's going to change, but you have to know what it looks like, because now you know what the final place where you want to go looks like. And now you're starting to know what the landscape in the middle on the way looks like. Then you can look at where you are at. And once you have those three things, it's like 1, 2, 3. It allows you to kind of plan your route and along the way find the indicators. So now you can kind of compare things like, okay, cool. This is the bottom of all the people that have created apps, and I might be there right now, right? Or you might even be before that. You're still in the creation stage, right? Then let's say you launch it and stuff and things are going well. You got users downloading it. Again, now I'm actually using an example, but again, use whatever you do and pluck yourself into the situation. Now, you might be somewhere in the middle, just in the bottom of the middle, the middle of the middle, who knows, right? But that's an indicator to kind of know where you're at. Now, if you aren't even there, where you can even compare, this is where you gotta have to have intuition. You gotta have faith, belief, and also a sense of reality to know where things are kind of going and being able to forecast things and just find those indications on your own. Because some things don't have that indication. You might be building something that nobody has ever seen before. You know, if you are building something like in the world of AI right now that no one has seen, again, like, okay, like there's none of those top, middle, end things to really put there. So you might have to find something else to really compare yourself to, or if it's something to compare yourself to, you just have to know the indications of find those things, you know. And I know it's so open-ended to say, and you know, it's easier to tell you from my perspective when it came to what I did. Because it was easier for me to see the indications there, and then obviously the trends started to follow, and it's like, okay, I'm on the right path because I'm ahead of the trends. And that's another thing too. If you're ahead of the trends or ahead of things, then you kind of know as well. It's like, okay, cool, like I'm on the right path. But I digress. Aside from looking for the indicators, and we all know now, like in this conversation, I hope we do, what the indicators look like in the sense of the concept of it, not what the actual indicators are, but the concept of what to look for. If you know that, then it's like, okay, cool. Now I can kind of figure out where I'm at. And that lets you know the path you're on and how well you're kind of doing. Not just how well, but how viable things are. You know, so many times people, you know, I was having this conversation with a friend, and it's just like they're always looking at the top of things, which I think is great, but sometimes it's not a great thing to compare to. It's like everyone wants to compare to the smallest thing. It's like billionaires, right? Everyone's like, oh, I want to be a billionaire. Cool. You know, would it be cool if you made $500,000 a year and $500,000 a year, and that would be actually amazing for you too, right? But again, everyone's looking at the billionaires, and there's nothing wrong for reaching for the top. I'm not saying don't reach for the stars. But I'm saying is when you are planning something, you do have to have realism in your mind to kind of know what the landscape looks like. You know, I think a lot of people go out blindly, which is fine. You know, I think that kind of there's a thing that helps you there as well, like not knowing and just being kind of naive. There's things about that where you end up doing things, you know, you might have done it wrong, but because you did it wrong, because you were naive, it ended up working out in your favor because like no one would ever think of doing it that way, right? And I spoke about that a couple conversations earlier before, but the indication part is really what I wanted to talk about this morning. I think indication is something that we really need to focus on when we're doing things because, you know, there's the one thing where we have belief that what we're doing is going to work, which is, you know, is amazing. But there is times where you're going to have to look at the indicators to know, am I on the right path and whether to abandon it or not. And I don't believe in abandoning things within a month if it doesn't work. Like if you're there, like, I want to grow a TikTok account or whatever, and you're like, I want to grow it to 1 million followers, and it doesn't happen in the first 2 months because you saw a couple people getting a millions of followers in the first 2 months. Like, all right, you didn't really give it a chance. And then if you're doing something and like you got like friends or family or people ragging on you saying like, oh, how come it's not this big yet or whatever, and it's only been like, you know, a month, it's like, okay, like you guys need to calm down. Like it's only been, but also if you've been doing something for like, you know, 5 years and you're seeing some sort of indication, you're on the right path. Like again, like last episode I talked about, the long way usually is the correct way. And to give you a perfect example, today we were watching this show on, I think it was Amazon Prime or something, but it was a documentary about mega yachts. And, you know, all these mega yacht owners are all pretty old. They're people like their 60s, you know what I mean, stuff like that. And when you really hear their stories of things that they've done, they've all lived like multiple lives, meaning that they lived a life of being in a certain job first, in a career, and then leaving it and then starting something new. Like, so they really gave things time, and to get to where they were at, like obviously it took years, right? So if you're building something very substantial as well and big, you got to give it the time it needs, but you got to look at those indicators along the way, right? I don't believe in quitting and abandoning things. But I do believe there is a time where, you know, depending on what it is, you might have to pivot, right? And that's a great word everyone loves to use, pivot. We all need to pivot. Oh, we pivoted, and now we're doing like, but knowing when to pivot with things, right? Because you might be in the same world with the things that you're doing, but you just might need to pivot a little and maneuver so you're doing it, you know, a little bit differently where it will work for you, but, you know, it's a little just different. You know, it might not be now you're making the app. Maybe the app facilitates something else. Like, who knows? Again, pluck yourself into these conversations and kind of like fill in the blanks there. But I just want to talk about the concept of stuff. Because again, the main thing I just want to talk about today was the indicators this Monday morning. People are going to be doing, especially because it's the beginning of the year, a lot of goals, trying to make a lot of standards. And, if they're not seeing the changes, which I think are the indicators to let you know you're on the right path, people like to give up. But again, trust the process. Like the gym, you got to keep doing it. Give it enough time, right? If I'm trying to grow a plant and I water it, if I just say, okay, it's been 2 weeks, I don't see anything and the seeds aren't growing, I'm done. No, like there's stuff happening underground that you're not seeing. And that's the thing that's happening in your life right now. Those changes you're doing and those things you're working on, it's having changes. It's working. But because it's happening, it might seem small right now because the substantial things aren't happening yet. But you gotta give it the time it needs. But again, that's all we want to talk about this Monday morning. Look for the indicators. Now the goal, or sorry, not the goal, but the homework this week, I think, should be, I want you to write a list of whatever it is you're doing, the list of the things that you've done in the past. Actually, let's do that. Things that you've done in the past that you've been successful at. So depending who you are, if you're a little bit older and you've done things in your past that have been successful, what were the indicators looking back? Because looking back, you can always see the indicators. What were the points and the indicators back in the day along that path? Did you realize that you were on the right path and you were doing the right thing? I want you to write those down and look at those and then see any similarities within the new thing you're doing. And if you're someone that doesn't maybe have any, successes yet, because you're starting things out just now, cool. Congratulations, you're taking that step. But I want you to try to figure out what are the indicators you can look forward to kind of know. So you have your main goal, but where are the little things along the way that's going to be the checkpoints? And they don't have to be like milestones. Like, again, if you're trying to get 1 million followers on TikTok, it doesn't have to be like, okay, I hit 100,000. Now I hit, 200 and 300. It's not that in your face. It's more like, okay, am I getting, is the engagement I'm getting the correct one? Am I getting the right type of people following me? Are people reaching out that are the type of people I want to reach out, right? Like that's another thing too. Like if you have the type of person that you actually are aiming to speak to, actually messaging you, DMing you and being, then okay, I'm on the right path because those are the people that are interested. I just got to reach more of them, right? And then there's other things along the way. So try to find, and that's just one example. Again, I want to leave this open. I don't know what you're doing in your life right now, but whatever it is and whatever the goal is, look for those things that you can write as indicators along the way. Behavior from other people around the subject and how things change. Again, I don't want to just speculate because I don't really know exactly what it is you're doing, but I wanted to give you the concept of the thing. So yeah, that's what I want to really hit you guys up about this Monday morning, is talking about the indicators. I want you to look for those. And that's the homework for this Monday morning. So, that was a good one. I just had a conversation about that today. And I just thought it was something that, well, sorry, not today, but last night. And I just thought it was something that I wanted you guys to kind of hear, because shoot. Things that I'm learning or I hear and I think I want to share with you, so hopefully that helps somebody out there. If it helps you, amazing. That's what I was looking for. If it didn't, again, this is free. So what do you want from me? You know what I mean? But yeah, do me a favor. If you're listening, on the podcast, maybe follow on Spotify if you're on there. Give it 5 stars. And if you're on YouTube, drop me a like, hit me a comment, do what you want to do. But yeah, that's it for today. I hope you guys have a great, amazing Monday morning. Thank God for another day. Some people didn't get one. You have one. So make it, be good, be great, and have a great day. I'm your boy, JT. It's Only Monday Podcast. The glass is still half full. Go find the other half.